Tonight's big stories: rice prices in Asia soared to their highest in almost 15 years. To top it off, manufacturers here in the Philippines are calling for price hikes on several basic goods.
President Bongbong Marcos issues a strongly worded statement in response to China saying that we had previously committed to remove the BRP Sierra Madre from Ayungin Shoal.
And make way for one of the country's brightest stars in gymnastics, 11-year-old Maxine Amira Bondok. We'll speak to Maxine about her 5 gold medal haul from the Palarong Pambansa later on.
Welcome to the show. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Gretchen Ho.
And I'm Sean Yao.
All right, so there was a big-time oil price hike early this week. You recall, ladies, right? But now it looks like the prices of basic commodities are about to follow suit. In fact, we have 2 big stories on headlines today on food prices. First is on rice. Bloomberg is reporting that rice prices in Asia have climbed to their highest level in 15 years, or since 2008. This was attributed to global supply issues caused by production concerns in Thailand due to the dry weather, as well as that ban on exports from India. That, Thai white rice, 5% broken, is a long-grain category of white rice that is a benchmark for Asia, and it jumped to $640 a ton, the most expensive since October 2008. That's according to data from the Thai Rice Exporters Association. This means price increases have reached almost 50% in the past year alone.
Right, so apparently, as of 2021, tayo yung second biggest rice importer sa buong mundo.
That
we
is
are
the
an
bad news
agriculture
here,
country.
of course.
We eat a lot of it, we don't make enough of it.
I can't seem to figure out why we can't supply ourselves with our own rice. Right?
I agree, when we used to before, when technology wasn't as advanced.
Why do you ask the hard questions right at the top of the show?
Okay, let's leave that for later.
There's an answer to that, pero mahirap to get into it because the answer spans decades and decades of bad management, right?
Of course, this new news, right? Thailand saying that they're also having trouble with rice, what with the El Nino. Noong una kasi India was did the export ban, and we're like, that's okay, we don't really get a lot of rice from India, but we do get quite a significant amount from Thailand and Vietnam.
Those are our top 2 importing countries. That's the problem.
Apart from Thailand and Vietnam, we also get from Burma and China, as you mentioned, India. Pero yun nga, number 1 dyan yung Vietnam, Burma, Thailand, China, and India.
Pero isipin mo yan, Burma, di ba? Well, for
Myanmar.
our information, yes, thank you. Myanmar na siya ngayon. Myanmar, small country, all right, locked always in a civil war. Laging magulo dun sa bansa nila. Pero shocks, nakaka-export pa rin sila ng rice. Tayo hindi.
That's a good point.
Diba?
Yeah.
Magulo rin naman dun eh. Kung sasabihin mo magulo dito, the system is wrong. How come Burma or Myanmar can export rice and we can't?
We do know and we do point out to climate change as being the biggest threat to rice supply with the monsoons in India, the heat waves all over the world. Of course, here in the Philippines, we have the flooding and the typhoon season. So this will probably get worse as the years come, unless we act on it for sure.
For sure, no? So, rice pa lang yan, guys. Move on naman tayo ngayon to our second big story still on food prices. It looks like consumers will have to brace for more price increases, this time on basic goods. Because at least 13 food manufacturers are calling for price hikes on basic commodities. I'm talking milk, coffee, instant noodles, canned sardines, and other canned products, mga laging laman ng kusina at syempre ng ayuda. So what's the reason behind this push? Let's hear it from the Trade Department.
Yung cost ng raw materials na kapag minsan po imported pa to, kagaya ng sa canned sardines po, tamban, yung isda mismo na ginagamit para sa sardinas. Ang instant noodles po, alam naman natin na imported yung flour nila kasi wala naman po tayong wheat dito sa Pilipinas. Pati po yung MDM, yung mechanically deboned meat na imported rin dahil wala po tayo nandito.
In a country where rice is life and these are the goods that are normally found in the Filipino home. Question now is, gaano kalaki ba yung hinihingi na price increase. Well, for food items, manufacturers are proposing a 10 centavo to an around 7 peso hike. That's 1 to 5% higher than current prices. While for non-food commodities, proposed price increases range from 1 peso and 50 centavos to almost 10 pesos, or a climb of 6 to 10% from the current level. For now, the DTI says they are still studying the proposal. The agency says they're still verifying the price movements of raw materials and transportation costs for these products. But of course, people can't help but begin to worry.
Pagkadating sa mga ganyang bagay, kaming mga nanay na hindi naman masyadong malaki ang aming sinusweldo ay nangangamba syempre kami kasi yung aming mga income ay binabudget din po namin sa according sa needs ng aming family.
Napakahirap naman nun, sir. Talagang wala, sir. Hindi ko abot, sir, yung kung taasan pa ang presyo.
Let's dig deeper into these inflation issues. We have with us tonight Danilo Fausto. He's the president of the Philippine Chamber of Agriculture and Food. Good evening, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening to all of you and to your viewers.
So you heard our reporting about the food price hikes. What are you seeing from your end? You are the president of the Philippine Chamber of Agriculture and Food, so you do straddle both the suppliers and the manufacturers side of things. What are you seeing at the moment?
Well, on both ends, our production is encountering some challenges because of the calamities. Also, our productivity, and we are facing an incoming El Nino. On the manufacturing side, on the other hand, you have increase in fuel cost of inputs. You have recently increased your minimum wage. The manufacturers, I think, have no choice but to ask for a little increase in order to recover, or else they might be losing money and not operate at all. So I can understand what they're asking. So we just have to calibrate, which is on a win-win solution, both for the consumers and also to the manufacturers. That's I think what I can see now.
All right, when you say win-win situation, Sir Danilo, what exactly do you mean? Did you guys, or were you guys able to talk to the DTI about this? We understand that some manufacturers have petitioned, about 13 of them. Are any of these 13 companies that have petitioned part of your chamber? And exactly what have you asked them? What is the request?
Well, actually, I do not have the list of those people that made the request, but majority of the food processors are member of the chamber, like sardines, canned sardines, and other stuff, meat, eggs, and so on. All of them are affected by fuel cost, manufacturing, increasing cost of manufacturing, and also, as I said earlier, you have a general NCR, you have a general increase in wages. And the cost of production, producing the goods, is also including the supply chain disruptions, yung deliveries, and that is hampering the production and availability of the goods. And the raw material sourcing, as what I've heard earlier, most of these items are imported. And even the exporting countries where we buy these goods are experiencing their own challenges, and they have to pass on to us a much higher cost of production. For example, sugar, the price of sugar has not gone down, and majority of our producers, especially on the snacks, confectionaries, ice cream, and so on, are affected by sugar cost. And now we are facing, as I said, calamities. So that's, I think, all in all, that prompted them to increase, to request for some or a little increase in order to recover.
Medyo patong-patong po yung mga problema, especially
Yes,
given the
patong-patong.
seasons right now. Apart from that, there's also a proposed tax measures on sugar. Yun nga po, can you tell us how difficult it is now to source raw materials? What are the bottlenecks encountered by these manufacturers?
Well, We are now down in the production of sugar. It's a main source of raw materials. And for example, like in our case, we are in dairy. 12% of our input is sugar, and it has not gone down. Um, Difficulty is the importation. The sources of the countries that are exporting are beginning to clamp down. Well, the most notably is the rice, no? Yung rice nag-ban na ang India, and then it created a domino effect on Vietnam and Thailand, which is now demanding a much higher price for the rice, even though our importing some of our member importers have made a down payment already for the rice. The contract is not being
Honored.
followed, and they have to look for other countries that they can sell the much better price, because it's not a problem only of the Philippines. It's a whole of the world problem. It's a global problem in terms of the supply of grain. No? We import wheat. Of course, we need more rice, which is our staple. And we have not increased our productivity in terms of our local production of basic commodities. Let's say.
Kaya sabi
Sorry.
po ng Pangulo, di ba, nung sa SONA, mababa na raw.
Yeah.
Mababa na raw ang presyo ng mga ngayon, bilihin.
Sorry, so what happens in that scenario? So your members aren't able to source the rice from their usual suppliers in Vietnam and Thailand. So what are they going to do from here on?
Well, what we are suggesting is it has to be done on a government to government. The sourcing is not a problem. The price is the problem. They have to increase the price. Before earlier the year, we are getting the price of something like 420, $430 per metric ton. It went up to $540 per metric ton. Now it's going up to $600 per metric ton. It translates to about 32 to 33 pesos per kilo of imported rice. At the same time, we are short of, I think we're short of some buffer to get us through the harvest in the middle of September. So middle of September, we are expecting some harvest, and prices will stabilize by then. We have experienced, as reported by PSA, a big drop in the supply and growth of the fishery sector is a negative 14.2%. Basically, from my inquiry from our members, the fishery sector, it is because of the cost of fuel and also the cost of ice. No, so the municipal fishermen do not like to go out and catch the fish because mahal yung gasolina, mahal at mahal yung yelo, natutunaw yung yelo, so they cannot recover. So they might as well catch the fish. And the commercial fishers cannot come in from the municipal waters, which is 15 kilometers going in, because they will be penalized. They are not allowed to come in. Our fishing ban ended last February, so it's now an open fishing, but still our fishery sector brought down the total growth of agricultural sector to a negative 1.3%. Negative 1.3 is because of the big drop in our fishery sector, so which is being consumed by our low-income people, especially sardines, the tamban. It's a big drop on the tamban. So sabay-sabay na yan, ang pinaka-kailangan talaga ng mga kababayan natin, ang bigas, yung basic. No?
Yeah.
Kahit nga, ano nga, basta may bigas, okay na sila. Sardinas, which is mura, stabilize naman ang presyo ng karne at saka ng manok, no? But all the rest are affected.
Mr. Fausto, can I just clarify one thing? By how much do you expect imported rice to increase by in the coming months?
My estimate is about 2 to 4 pesos per kilo.
For imported
but
rice.
It should stabilize or even go down a little when we start harvesting by September. So our gap is from now to say mid-September, where we start harvesting, and stocks will be available. If we cannot import immediately, then we will have a problem on supply, and the prices is expected to go up, because right now the imported rice will be something like 33 pesos landed. But last year, it's only 23 pesos, 24 pesos. So you can see in the retail markets, the prices of imported rice is higher than the local rice that we are selling sa mga palengke.
Okay. Mr. Fausto, ikutan lang muna ulit natin no, itong issue natin sa request sa DTI ng taas presyo. Worst case scenario, sir, kung hindi maibigay ng DTI yung hinihiling na price increase ng manufacturers, ano pong gagawin nila? Ititigil na lang ba nila yung production? Hindi naman siguro pwedeng ganun
Hindi na sila magdi-deliver.
So ganun, ititigil,
We
stop
will have
delivery.
a vacant shelf. Hindi mo naman sila mapupuwersa kung palugi na sila magmamanufacture, kung palugi sila magpo-process, bakit pa sila magtitinda kung lugi naman? So kung hindi naman papayag ang DTI, especially those that are in need, no? Yung mga tin cans, mahal na, tumaas ang presyo ng tin cans, yung mga imported raw materials, sinabi nga ni Yusek kanina ng DTI, yung mga bagay na hindi natin pinoproduce, yung wheat, no? Paano na, pahirap na ang wheat. Lahat nangangailangan because everyone is stocking up in preparation for the El Nino in the Asia Pacific region. All of them will be affected by the El Nino. Even Vietnam and Thailand and Cambodia, yung kanilang Mekong River might be affected, and saltwater, there is saltwater intrusion to the Mekong River, and they cannot plant as supposed to be being done regularly. Our default now is we should concentrate on our productivity and be able to be food autonomy. We can have food autonomy and try our best to be sufficient. One example that we are suggesting, if you notice, first quarter of this year, ang Western Visayas has planted more areas of palay than Central Luzon. And yet, the Western Visayas is producing a yield of 65 kabans per hectare, while Central Luzon and the Cagayan Valley is producing 120 to 130 kabans, double that of Western Visayas. That clearly shows that the government intervention is focused on Central Luzon and Cagayan Valley. But these two regions cannot supply the entire requirement of the country. We have Soc-Sargen, the Bangsamoro, the Western Visayas, Eastern Visayas, and even Mindoro. Mindoro is the one that is supplying the Calabar Zone, the Central Luzon, and the Cagayan Valley or Sabela is supplying the NCR.
Ano pong government intervention po yung nababanggit po ninyo? Bakit po dumoble doon? Ano pong ginawa nila? So we can replicate.
The secret of high yield is hybrid. You have a good seed, hybrid seed, you have good fertilizer and irrigation. If you do not have those three elements, you cannot produce the needed yield per hectare. So what we're saying here, including the post-harvest, like dryer, the milling, and so on. If you do not have this facility and intervention from government, we have the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund. And I hope that the machineries and the post-harvest facilities, the subsidy on fertilizer, the subsidy on hybrid rice is given whole of nation, while not only on Central Luzon and Cagayan Valley. Because if we can increase the yield of the Visayas area and Mindanao, it can increase our supply of rice. And we might not need to import rice in the first place. Also, the technology of converting palay into rice. Right now, we are converting palay at about rate of about 55 to 60% max from our big rice miller. But if in Thailand, they're converting it at 70%.
Right.
Like in our place, if you have a small rice mill and you are converting palay with one variety, because the rice miller are getting a different variety, so they call it rambol. No?
Right.
And that is the return.
Right.
But if you are milling your own with one variety, you can have a 70% conversion of palay to rice. And that is 15% difference. And that is what is lacking. And that is our shortage of rice. So if we are successful in the conversion using a better technology or better machinery, then baka
Yeah.
maging sufficient na tayo.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if we will increase the yield of our land that is planted with rice, eh sobra-sobra na ang pangailangan. That's so in the first that's intervention that I'm saying.
Right,
The
right, sir.
technology and the thing that has to be done because rice
Yeah.
is rice. It's life for the majority of
Agree with
people.
that.
We can
Right,
have
right.
Agree with that.
basta may kanin ka lang, okay ka na eh.
Right.
So
that is
and the other
that's-
goods that can follow.
Oh, nga eh. That's the ideal scenario, though. Of course, there's a lot of things that need to align for that to
Those are
happen.
actionable points.
They are actually, I mean, if they are
well,
already
we
being
are.
done in
Maybe.
Central
Tama,
Luzon, then
tama.
But
hoping that it
anyways,
cascades.
Maybe
We're
he
gonna
can
have
apply
to-
for Secretary of the Department of
We are
Agriculture.
going to have
right?
to leave the conversation there for now, but I do hope the next time you guest with us that maybe we can talk about declining prices by then. Here's hoping. Danilo Fausto, President of the
Yeah.
Philippine Chamber of Agriculture and Food. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Pero wait lang, hindi pa dyan nagtatapos ang issue tungkol sa presyo ng bilihin. House lawmakers grilled officials from the Agricultural Department over concerns on supply and prices of onions. Let's bring in Marian Enriquez to give us the details. Maan?
Yes, Gretch, lawmakers asked the officials about their plans to prevent prices of onions from shooting up to 700 pesos a kilo, like what happened in December last year. Some congressmen expressed fear of this happening again, especially during the upcoming burn months where demand typically increases. The Bureau of Plant Industry assures lawmakers that the country has enough onion supply to last until December. According to 4th District Cavite Representative Elpidio Barzaga, if there's enough supply of onions, there should no longer be any increase in prices. Prices of both local and imported red and white onions currently stand at 110 to 190 pesos a kilo. The Bureau also assures lawmakers that they continue to implement measures to strengthen local production of onions. Gretch.
All right, thank you for that update. Marian Enriquez.
Ito naman, pang-kontra dyan. It's not all bad news for consumers. Here's a little bit of relief for Meralco customers. The power distributor is slashing electricity rates for the month of August. Meralco announced that it is cutting power rates, this time by 29 centavos per kilowatt hour. What this means is that households consuming 200 kilowatt hours a month will see a 58 peso reduction in their monthly bills. Those who consume some 500 kilowatt hours monthly will be paying 145 pesos less. Meralco says this rate cut is because of lower generation charges. We're going to pause for a quick break, but right after that, President Marcos moves to suspend reclamation projects in the Manila Bay, citing their impact on flooding. That and more when the big story returns. Keep it here. You're still watching the big story here on One News.
Well, our other big story tonight is still on China because Beijing is standing its ground, telling the Philippines to keep its so-called promise to remove the BRP Sierra Madre from Ayungin. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has again insisted that Manila had previously promised to tow away the vessel. A statement on the ministry's website says a meeting supposedly took place between the Chinese ambassador to the Philippines and then Secretary of Foreign Affairs Domingo Siazon in 1999. In that meeting, China supposedly made the same demand for the Philippines to remove the BRP Sierra Madre from Ayungin. It's not stated, though, whether the Philippines explicitly agreed to do so, only that there were repeated promises to tow away the vessel. As for the National Security Council, it is also firm in saying that there was no such commitment from the Philippines.
Kahit sinong mapagtanungan natin, no, under this administration or previous administration, wala po tayong naging commitment or anumang pangako sa pamahalaan ng China. Natatanggalin natin ang BRP Sierra Madre sa Ayungin Shoal, no? So, mahirap po magkomento sa isang bagay na walang pinanghuhugutan.
Alright, 1999 pa pala yung promise. We were initially, everyone was thinking it was just in the last administration under DND Secretary Lorenzano
Turns
na
out it's
nangyari
as far back as 1999.
Turns out, pati tayo nasa high school pa nun.
You know why? You know why? Kasi in 1999, there was no social media. So there wasn't a whole lot of documentation. Paper lang talaga.
True.
So that's why we don't know if Manila explicitly agreed to tow away the vessel.
Pero wala silang mahukay na any sort of document or any proof that this exchange happened. Apparently nobody remembers except for China. And also, kung 1999 pa yun, guys, ba't nyo naman ngayon lang 2023 binring up, di ba?
Kaya nga.
I think they brought it up. Although, of course, the recent water cannoning incident, it's an escalation of the tension over the West Philippine Sea, right? So that's why they keep coming back to that point na.
It's good you mentioned that because actually President Bongbong Marcos has already also spoken up about the supposed promise to remove the BRP Sierra Madre. Let's hear it from the President himself.
I'm not aware of any agreement that the Philippines should remove from its own territory its own ship, the BSP Sierra Madre, from the Ayungin Shoal. And let me go further. If there does exist such an agreement, I rescind that agreement as of now.
That is loud and clear from the president. He rescinds if there was any agreement in the past. And former Defense Secretary Orly Mercado also shared some tidbits about the grounding of the BRP Sierra Madre in Ayungin. Let's hear it.
Parang laro ng mga bata yun, agawang base.
Yeah.
Pag wala ka roon, ba't tatalo ka? After nagkaroon ng may structure sila sa Mischief Reef, nagsabi ako doon sa Armed Forces, mag-isip nga tayo ng paraan para tayo merong presensya doon. It was the Navy that came up with the idea na meron tayong mga vapor. Yung mga active na vapor natin, yung landing ship tanks, LSTs, na luma na pero maandar pa, pwede natin isadsad yan. Kung meron pa tayong mga iba, magsadsad pa tayo.
Ang daming he said, pero ito ang sigurado. The Security Council has said that there is no way that we will abandon Ayungin, and that much is for sure. But what's next after that? Let's bring in Maricel Halili. Mase, ano na daw?
Sean, the NSC says resupply missions to the BRP Sierra Madre will continue regardless of these gray zone tactics being employed by China. NSC Assistant Director General Jonathan Malaya has said, quote, kahit makipagpatintero pa kami with the Chinese. The AFP is also planning to make another resupply trip, this time with bigger escort vessels. The NSC also revealed that talks over joint patrols in the West Philippine Sea with the United States are now in the advanced stages and could be set in motion before the year ends. Sean?
All right, thanks for that update, Maricel Halili.
Well, here's another issue where a Chinese company is involved, the one that was supposedly involved in structures in the artificial islands of China in the West Philippine Sea, and specifically the reclamation projects in the Manila Bay. Now it seems there's final word on that from the president. Let's listen in.
Pasuspindi lahat. Under review ang lahat ng reclamation. Yung isa lang ang natuloy dahil na-review na. Maraming problema. Marami kaming nakita na hindi masyadong magandang patakbo. Yung mga ilog, kung matuloy lahat yan, maraming ilog mababara eh. Yung lumalabas sa Laguna, wala nang pupuntahan talaga yung tubig. Wala na nga yung Rojas Boulevard, wala na yung dagat eh.
This follows concerns of heavy flooding in Metro Manila and surrounding provinces like Bulacan. The DENR has been tasked to review the impact of reclamation projects on the environment. The agency was also being urged to suspend all projects while the review is ongoing. So far, the department has yet to comment on the suspension. Ay, nababanggit natin na Chinese company kanina. Well, alam natin yan. Implicated also here is the father of Senator Win Gatchalian, William Gatchalian,
The
who is the
plastics
company
king?
dealing. Oo. Si Senator Win, sinabi niya dito, yung anak na parang, meron ng proseso, meron ng permit. Kumbaga, in the previous administration,
They were
granted
granted permit.
Oo, kaya parang sundin na lang daw natin yung proseso. Yun ang sinabi ni Senator Win.
Pero naiintindihan ko rin yung posisyon ni current Environment Secretary Yulo. She said na kasi yung mga permits apparently binigay yan taking into account only that project and that project alone. So that assessment that she wants to do in the whole of Manila Bay, it's a cumulative assessment. So lahat ng projects, ano yung impact nila lahat, suma total. Hindi yung paisa-isa lang. Right? Which, I mean, I believe that it is a good undertaking if they have not considered as a whole yung totality ng sobrang daming reclamation projects. Ano yung total impact? And mukhang marami ring support ito from senators themselves, of course, not Senator Win, but the other senators as well as, of course, some fisher folk groups.
Speaking of, Senator Cynthia Villar had this to say about DENR Chief Yulo Loizaga.
I talked to Secretary Loizaga about this. Medyo takot siya kasi yung mga magre-reclaim, mga influential sa Pilipinas. So natatakot siya being a secretary under
Madam Chair.
natatakot sila na sabi ko, wag kang matakot kung mali, kung tama, tama.
Well, we have all these reactions, but what about the actual people behind the reclamation projects? Let's get some updates on that from Gio Robles. Gio, how's the Bay Area looking?
Reclamation activities along Manila Bay continue, and it seems that the companies behind these projects and even some concerned agencies did not get the memo. Well, not yet anyway. We spoke with the Philippine Reclamation Authority, or PRA, and they said that they have yet to receive a copy of the official document suspending reclamation activities. They also have no information yet as to what particular project had been exempted. So there's a lot that needs to be sorted out. In fact, even the PRA had a hard time answering questions from senators about permits that being handed out loosely like candy, according to Senator Raffy Tulfo. For now, we're also waiting if there will be an official memo that will be released on this soon. Reg, back to you.
Thanks for the update, Gio Robles.
Linawin lang natin saglit, no? May sinasabi si Gio na yung may isa nga na hindi suspended. That's because President Marcos has said sususpend daw lahat ng reclamation projects except for one. But hindi niya nilinaw which one project is exempted. So yun yung pinag-uusapan ng Gio.
Well, up next, time for a shift. We'll have palarong pambansa gymnastics star 11-year-old Maxine Amira Bondok live here in the studio. Keep it here on One News. Looking brighter than ever. That's after 11-year-old Maxine Amira Bondok left her mark in the recently concluded Palarong Pambansa as she helped NCR secure yet another overall championship victory. Bondok was the star in the elementary girls' artistic gymnastics, capturing 5 golds and 1 silver. She dominated in the individual all-around, floor exercise, balance beam, and vault events. She also helped her NCR teammates secure the team all-around title and earned a silver medal in the uneven bars. Gymnastics proved to be a source of significant success for NCR as they surged ahead in the final 2 days of the competition to secure their 16th consecutive overall championship.
Now, joining us live in the studio is none other than Maxine Amira Bondok and her coach, Rafael Ablaza of the Learn and Train Sports Academy. Good evening, guys. Welcome to the big story and congratulations.
Congrats, Maxine!
Can we see your goals?
Show off your goals naman.
I think it's so heavy. I think all of those combined.
Oh, it looks heavy, no?
So again, that's 5 gold medals and 1 silver medal. Maxine, how do you feel about winning? And which one was your favorite event?
Well, I'm really happy and feeling really blessed to win, and also really thankful to the people who helped me get there, and also really grateful to the people who supported me in Palaro. And my favorite one was probably vault.
Wow!
Really?
That's so impressive.
Yun rin ang event ni Kaloy, sa Olympics, syempre.
Parang ang hirap
In the
ng
world.
vault. I love
I know.
watching it,
Is
but
this
I'm
your
like,
first
how do
Palaro?
they do that?
It's her first palaro.
It's your first Palaro and you bagged all these medals. So before the Palaro, were you able to participate in other meets?
Yeah, I was able to go abroad, so I was able to go to Thailand. I was able to go to Singapore, and then I had some competitions here, local. And
Well, we do know that is the winning formula of Kaloy Yulo, Hydrin Diaz.
to train and compete overseas.
Yes, pero
Yeah.
si Coach naman, Coach Raf, ano ba yung masasabi mo sa first experience ni Maxine sa palaro, ano yung assessment mo? Bilang coach din niya.
Yung palarong pambansa is mabigat na competition din para sa kanya. Pero masasabi ko na maayos yung performance na binigay niya nung palarong pambansa, and masaya ako dahil syempre nagkaroon ng magandang result.
Ito ba yung, this is what you're expecting? This was your goal going into the palaro? Like, you set na,
Actually,
may set goal ka talaga for
Ang pinaka
Maxine?
siniset po namin na goal is hindi po yung medal po kasi parang consequence lang po yung medal pag napanalunan mo yung or pag na-achieve mo yung kailangan mong i-perform
Look
sa
how graceful she is there.
That's a floor exercise where, of course, Maxine took home the gold. Coach Raf, para sa'yo, sabi ni Maxine, vault ang kanyang paborito. Yun di ba nakikita mo, yung pinaka-strength ni Maxine ay nasa vault, or is it really pang all-around siya?
Ngayon, nakikita ko na pang all-around siya. Hindi lang siya pang vault, pwede siya all-around. Dahil yung mga scores niya and yung mga skills niya, napaka-balance sa lahat ng events. So, maganda.
Well, apart from Maxine, another athlete who stood out was Carl Eldru Yulo. He has been all over the headlines. The younger brother of Kaloy Yulo. Kayo po, Coach, nakita nyo kasi nanalo si Kaloy, na witness nyo rin yung growth niya. Ano po masasabi niyo dito sa mga bata na umuusbong? Dadami pa ba yung mga Olympians natin?
Masasabi ko po na sobrang naging successful po ng mga ginagawa po ng Gymnastics Association of the Philippines para sa gymnastics po natin, dahil nakikilala na po yung gymnastics dito sa bansa natin, and marami na pong mga grassroots na talagang nung palarong pambansa nakita ko na magaling, sobrang nag-improve
Dumadami
lahat.
sumasali
Yes,
ngayon.
lahat nag-improve. Hindi lang yung Manila, buong Pilipinas.
What made you join or get into gymnastics?
So when I was 4 years old, my parents were just looking for a summer activity for me to do. So, and I really badly wanted to do a cartwheel. So,
Cartwheel! That was your goal, a cartwheel.
so I joined gymnastics, and after the summer, I was like, oh, I really enjoy this. So, what was the summer activity became my life.
Well, I have a 4-year-old and she shows no interest in gymnastics, I'm sad to say.
But does she have an interest in turning a cartwheel? Maybe we can start there.
Not even. She has an interest in YouTube. Maxine, you're a grade 6 student. Tell us how you balance your schoolwork with training.
Sometimes
Mahirap.
even myself, I ask, how do I do it?
Yeah.
But I learned that it's actually just time management. Like in school, I try not to think about gym so that I can focus on my lessons so that when task comes, I don't have to really review so much because I already know the lesson. And then in gym naman, I don't think about school because obviously my head will be like, so
Okay,
much.
Maxine
focus
is a
talaga.
gold medalist in compartmentalizing. We can all learn a thing or two
Focus, yeah.
from this.
She's very young, very well-spoken at this age. Galing, ah. Very confident as well.
So Maxine, was it always gymnastics for you since the moment when you were 4 and you wanted to do a cartwheel? Or did you try other sports like swimming, maybe tennis, golf?
There was like a period where I tried soccer. There was a time I just did dance classes, but I always just went back to gymnastics.
Galing. So what's the plan? What's the goal from here on, Coach? What's the pinaka...
Ang ultimate goal naman po talaga sa lahat ng mga atleta is of course the Olympics. Yun yung pinaka-big stage ng mga atleta eh. Pero
Anong year are you eyeing for Maxine?
sa age niya siguro ipapasok ng 2026 sana kung kaya.
Oh my gosh, that's in 3 years!
How old are you by then?
Wait, no.
23, 4,
6, I guess so. 16.
by 60. Wait, Maxine, before the Olympics, are you planning to represent the Philippines as well? Like maybe in the SEA Games, the Asian Games? Ano bang meron, Gretchen? Yun ang pinakamalalaki, di ba? Before the Olympics.
Asian Games coming up.
And of course, the World
World
Championships.
Gymnastics
Yeah.
Championships, yeah.
Yeah, that's my goal, to get into the national team and then SEA Games, Asian Championships, hopefully the Olympics and World Championships. But yeah, for now, just train.
Coach, ano bang pag-asa ni Maxine makapasok sa national team? At saka, saan bang mga sulok ng bansa usually nanggagaling? Or pwede tayong kumuha ng mga champion gymnast?
Actually, sa buong Pilipinas, makakita tayo ng maraming talents. Yun nga lang, syempre, konti lang yung merong opportunity para mag-training sa magandang facility. Talagang yung mga magagandang facility kasi nandito lang sa Manila.
kaya,
yung ibang may talent na nasa
because the
ibang lugar.
apparatus is not available. And
Yun yung
the
mahirap.
facilities.
Walang apparatus sa ibang province or region ng Pilipinas. Nasa Manila
So
lahat.
sa tingin niyo po sa 2024, ilang Olympians kaya ang papadala natin sa gymnastics?
Sa tingin ko si Kaloy lang po
Isa lang?
this year. Kasi merong mga points na sinusundan sa Olympics. So hopefully madagdagan pa dahil next year meron ulit na for the special events, pag naka-gold medal ka, meron kang chance magkaroon ng Olympics. Hopefully madagdagan pa yung pupunta sa Olympics, hindi lang si Kaloy.
Alright, so Maxine, do you have plans to level up your training? You know, other national teams, they do go abroad for training.
Kaloy is studying
in Japan. And Japan, of course, di ba, Coach, sinusuportahan ng Japan ang grassroots gymnastics
The
dito sa
parents are
Pilipinas.
also here, I believe.
Mom
They
and
are
Dad,
very proud.
Yeah, so
taking
may
videos.
plans ba, Maxine, to train abroad? Maybe next summer break?
For now po, wala pa pong plan to train abroad. Pero yung ginagawa po namin is we invite coaches from, foreign coaches from other countries. And then, ayun po, nagtuturo sila sa amin, yung mga knowledge nila, sinishare nila. So, iba't ibang coaches yung pumupunta, iba't ibang style, iba't ibang strategy. So, marami kaming knowledge na natututunan.
Would you want to train abroad?
I think it would be fun and a good experience, but I'm not quite
Parents
sure.
na tanongin natin.
Yes, of course.
No, yung sports foundations ang tatanungin natin, can you sponsor?
Kasi si Kaloy sponsored siya ng Japan.
Oh, do you
Papaano sa kanya?
so for sa mga budding athletes, do they need a lot of sponsorship in order to train abroad? Kailangan
Yes po, kasi kailangan din suportahan ng association natin yung mga ipapadala
Ayun na
sa
nga eh.
abroad.
Si
Hindi naman
MVP
pwedeng
Sports
si Mommy na lang
Foundation.
natin.
MVP Sports Foundation. We also give kay Kaloy para sa education.
Mag-ano na kayo?
Nanawagan na ba tayo dito? Andyan si Mom and Dad. So far, sila yung sponsors ni Maxine, I think. Okay, so
Congratulations.
Maxine, congratulations.
Thank
Pero
you.
before we say goodbye to you, balita namin na all-around level 6 champions ka rin back in May in Thailand. Can you tell us about that? That was before the Palaro. You think that experience, that win helped you with the Palaro?
In Thailand, it was actually like at the start of the year, like the competition season. So I think it helped my mindset. It helped me focus more on the competition because That was my first competition in a long time.
Right, because of COVID.
Yeah, because
Right.
of COVID. So
Your focus is amazing.
Amazing. I
We're
know.
also impressed.
Oo. Any advice from the big sisters?
just enjoy what you're doing. And of course, work on your fitness so you don't get hurt.
Ako don't get sidetracked. Focus. Yung mga love life na
Mga love life na yan, next time na yan.
Key to success. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Maxine Amira Bondok and Coach Rafaela Blaza of the Learn and Train Sports Academy. More golds to come. Hopefully more
Congratulations,
Olympics.
Congratulations
We're so
again,
proud.
Maxine and Coach Ralph.
We're going to pause for another quick one, but right after that, the Senate has started looking into the perennial flooding issue in Metro Manila and nearby provinces. Has money for flood control gone to waste? The details when the big story returns. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching the big story on One News.
Senators took turns in expressing their dismay about the recent floodings in Metro Manila and other provinces as it began its probe earlier today. Senate Majority Leader Joel Villanueva claimed that reclamation projects are among the factors that caused massive and incessant flooding in vulnerable areas like Bulacan. Senator Cynthia Villar, on the other hand, placed the blame on the pumping station that was built in Las Piñas, Parañaque River. Other senators also questioned the DPWH flood control projects, which amounted to 280 billion pesos. But according to Secretary Manny Bonoan, several of these projects are already being implemented. He added that the DPWH is set to begin the Central Luzon Floodway project.
By next year po siguro, we are hoping that we can start this project. This will be the major project in Central Luzon po.
Will this be enough to address our flooding problems? Or we still need to, because I'm just thinking out loud, Mr. Secretary, kasi ito lang yun, yung side lang dito sa west. What about the side on the east, dun sa part ng San Miguel, part ng yung may Kawayan, Marilao area?
This will drain up all the flooding inundation areas in Bulacan and Pampanga.
Right before we go, let's check out tonight's big picture. What you are seeing is an image of two actively forming young stars located 1,470 light years from Earth, captured by the James Webb Space Telescope. But if you zoom in close right into that image, in the background, just below those stars, is this object that resembles a giant cosmic question mark. It is still unclear what this question mark-shaped object is, but scientists believe that it could be a distant galaxy or potentially interacting galaxies. Looks like it's not just answers we find when exploring space. Sometimes we also find more questions.
I keep squinting to try to see it.
Ako rin eh.
Sorry, I'm a bit blind, but
I had one eye on the teleprompter and one eye on the photo. So
Alala ko tuloy yung sa Oppenheimer. Kasi si Oppenheimer yung unang nakaisip no, sa black hole eh. Pero hindi siya yung parang nag-come up with that kasi parang
Yung
namatay na siya
theory. Bago
na
naging
yung theory.
theory.
Oo. Tapos, wala lang. Naalala ko lang yun. And
Was it
I
a good
think
movie? I have not seen
Very good movie. I think it actually is good to watch, especially with what's happening now with the global affairs, with Russia, with China, with America. It is
Good to put it in perspective,
That's
diba?
true.
It's also good, like with that last picture of the possibly interacting galaxies, we are just reminded that we are nothing but like a little dot.
I like your closing line, right? Like sometimes it brings you more questions than answers. And I love, you know, that James Webb Space Telescope. Ever since they launched it, we've just been getting
More
more
questions.
vivid images of the galaxies, the space beyond, right? Making us really.
So kala natin, ang dami na nating alam. There's still so much more to explore and to find out. I guess on that note, guys, that's it for the show tonight.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.